Joining me today is Robbie, or Mr. Singh, from Adani. He's actually the Group CFO with the big news around the FPO, and the market's been extremely busy talking about it and what this is going to mean for retail investors particularly. So, Robbie, thanks so much for joining us. We'd love to hear more. It's a mega issue, of course. So to start off with, if we just go through the overall structure and what's in store for investors with this FPO.
See, I've been asked this question so many times, so I think let me clarify in relation to the mega point first. I think we should not, we've been independent now for 75 years. I think we need to get away from limiting ourselves and our aspirations. I mean, Indian household aggregate wealth is nearly 50 trillion US dollars. And for us to consider a 2.5 billion FPO on equity issue as mega is testament to our own thinking as distinct from the capacity of Indian household.
Sure.
I think India as a country, I mean, if it was like a $50 billion FPO, we can call it mega. So that is our inherent capacity.
Okay.
We speak to the aspiration of India. Our group is born out of the reform process of early 90s. And we fundamentally believe that the best part of India is in the future. And so therefore, we believe that that's the nature why we went to the FPO, is that we want to encourage the participation of retail investors. We went around the country, and I personally did. And the feedback was that they wanted to have more of Adani Group company equities. And so this allows us to allocate the maximum to the retail investors, and HNI is included. And which creates a wealth effect that we want to create. The people should be able to participate in the wealth creation story of India. So it doesn't make sense if we say the Indian stock market's gone from X to X trillion. So when the Indian stock market now goes from 2.7, 2.6, 2.5 trillion to what we believe it should be, 25 trillion, $30 trillion. Now we want that, a significant part of that, to accrue to in the remotest corner of this country, that wealth. And that is the objective of this. And we'll continue to ensure that participation by retail is maximized.
Yeah.
And that the ability of average Indian to have a participation in this growth story of India, which is over the next 20 years, is achieved commensurate to their own abilities.
Absolutely. I mean, we know the group has been seeing phenomenal returns. We know that you're very gung-ho in terms of the kind of value creation you anticipate through your group companies over the next few years. So this is in keeping with that. There is, of course, a portion set aside for retail, which is fairly significant. I think it's about 35%, and they've also got a bit of a discount on the issue price. Give us a sense of, the kind of interest. The issue is open, I think, around the 27th and closing on the 31st. So for investors that are looking to bring in, just to help to build the case again, because we've seen, of course, fantastic stock price movement. In fact, the highs were about 4,400 or so, last year. What can investors look forward to? How will some of these funds be used? You've talked a lot about these funds being required for capital management. Of course, they'll be used to require debt to some extent of holding companies. What is the immediate future looking like?
I think the growth aspect is twofold. So if you look at the overall growth that the portfolio group has achieved, I'd like to pass that into, but you asked a very interesting question in the first part of your question, which is that in the same period as our share prices grew, the last 8 or 9 years, our underlying EBITDA also grown by nearly 7 times. So it's not simply a share price growth; it's a growth linked to the underlying cash flow, because our underlying cash flow is growing at 22-23%.
Okay.
It's a multiple of that cash flow that is an important indicator. The second aspect of this is that the specific to relation to Adani Enterprise, the point that you mentioned in terms of the share price growth of Adani Enterprise, it was actually a one-off re-rating. So prior to 2016, 2017, Adani Enterprise was seen as a normal corporate doing, trading business, mining. But Adani Enterprise was always an incubator, and we made a very, very highly concentrated effort to talk to people and to explain the incubation nature of Adani Enterprise, how it creates value. It doesn't create value because it's got a PAT or it's got a cash flow. It creates value because it builds valuable businesses. So what's happening is that now people are allocating value to the businesses that Adani Enterprise has. So within Adani Enterprise today, now we have highly valuable businesses. So green hydrogen, airports, roads, data center, metals, materials, and mining. So that's where the value we see in relation to how Adani Enterprise is looked at.
Are the markets on the day of the news did see a minor downtick? I mean, do you feel perhaps there are concerns around dilution, or how much interest are you seeing from existing investors as well? You have about 2.2% for HNIs, I think, so far. Are you looking to expand that piece as well?
No, we would. Part of this is that, but 50% of the issue, 35 being for retail and 15 for HNI. So that's protected that way. Sometimes when you ask the question, and I was told by my corporate communication head that I should smile a bit more, so I can on in a lighter way. When you ask the question, the share price went down a little bit. I was wondering who will ask me that question. So you are the first one to go.
I'm glad.
But it's there's a reason why it's called Dalal Street in India. The name is apt. So there's a lot of dalali happens. So it's it happens, but we build sustainable long-term businesses. So, the day-to-day volatility, quarterly volatility, we are not. That's not what our objective is. Our objective is just fundamentally build high-quality businesses, run them in the best possible way. They should be governed to global standards, and they should have capital that is commensurate to the risk of that business, not some target, not some arbitrary number. And so that remains our focus rather than sort of day-to-day market volatility. So we have a massive level of interest in terms of our businesses, especially from large family offices globally, from institutional place as well, because they see us as large shareholder of our businesses. So they know that we have skin in the game all the time. So we are not the ones selling. So, and you will note that this issue itself is also a primary.
Yes.
So it's not a secondary. Nobody's selling out. So a bit of profit taking happens in these kind of things because we want a discount and we announced a discount. So naturally, the market has to adjust to those things. But beyond that, it does not change the long term focus.
You've said in several interviews that certain mutual funds have not participated in the Adani story so far. Just wanted to understand what you meant by that. Is this just your way of saying that perhaps you're looking forward to seeing some interest this time around?
No, quite frankly, I don't care also. Because see, as I mentioned to you in the opening, your issue of the mega issue. I think I'll explain that very carefully.
Yeah.
And I say that I'm not saying that in arrogance. I say that in due humility.
Right.
Our focus remains. India's aggregate household wealth of 15 trillion. The entire AMC market in India, or asset management market, as you refer to mutual funds, is less than 1.6% of that. 98.4% of Indians do not participate in this so-called mutual funds. Okay. We ourselves we would build a large retail investor base. So think of Adani as a platform, as an infrastructure platform. Our target is to have 1 crore shareholders. We ourselves will be the largest mutual fund.
Okay.
People can invest directly with us. No fees. They sit alongside us. Governance hours. Specific thing they can invest in. So therefore, whilst it is a reflection, even a really mature, very successful company, and we have a great regard for them because we ourselves believe that one of the persons who changed the face of India was Dhirubhai Ambani. Even a company of that stature, okay, founded by who we personally believe, and we have great, and we for Mukesh and team also we have great regard, and we wish very well. They are credit to India and they make India proud. They only have 5% mutual fund participation. Okay, so this is a very I can't explain this whole structure of this industry. But good thing is they only speak for 1.6% of wealth. So the 98% is still available, and our focus remains on that 98%.
Got it. Thank you so much. Good luck with the issue, and I look forward to maybe speaking with you again towards the end of the month.
Thank you, sir.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.